Okay, welcome to Ottoman Sunset, the second edition. I made a um, house rule version, and I'm going to shortly discuss it because I think it will benefit the community. As we saw, it is not a good system to just lose after half an hour of playing well, just by the luck of the draw. So this rule set hopes to bring more joy to the game by attempting to remedy an instant game over by lucky British forcing the narrows, to add thematic meaning to the coups, advances and Turkish flags, remedy unavoidable loss by morale with paying victories, and add more player agency and more options for DRM and all other tokens. Start with strictly historic order variants, score variants on the back of the sheet. The advance mechanism is an army advancing into a box with a Turkish flag rolls a die. So if you have something like this, and for example the Sinai front advances into this, it rolls. It needs to roll a die to enter Jerusalem. And on a 1 it fails to advance. Armies retreating into a box with a Turkish flag don't roll such a die. So retreating, if you are here and you retreat to a Turkish flag, or if you are on the north and you retreat to such a flag, then you don't roll such a die. Thematically, local resistance thwarted its progress but cheers at seeing the invaders retreat. I think that makes more sense. Now, for the off-map theaters, where is that? Yeah, so these are the off-map theaters. They play, as was discussed on social media, they don't play enough of a role. So by event cards, add square RGB tokens. So that means that you have to place one of these tokens. Where are they? Yeah, so for example here, Bruslav offensive, Gorlik, Verdun, Hoffman offensive, and all these numbers. Depending on the event card, you place such a thing. Now, first you roll a natural 1 is an auto fail, natural 6 is an auto success. So there is still luck. And otherwise, so a 2 to the 5, you add a Turkish token, and you can spend DRM tokens on that front toward the roll. So your resulting mitigated, you modified roll is compared against the number, so one of these numbers. And if it is successful, then you assign it to less is defeat. Less is defeat is this thing. So the defeats. It's pretty handy to have a jigsaw board game. Yeah, so or you assign it to less is defeat, or you put it in the victories box, depending on the result. Now, intelligence, diplomatic front coup events. So that's the intelligence bureau for the East. First you roll. Natural 1 is auto fail, natural 6 is auto success. Otherwise, you add a Turkish token, and then you can spend dice roll modifier tokens in that box to count toward coups. Unused DRM tokens stay. Used DRM tokens are discarded, not removed from play. And if it is, if the modified die is successful, Where is it? Yeah, so for example you have a coup. German start refer. Let's see. So you have a coup in Persia, for example. And the event card tells you to place such a coup. So Persia. To succeed a coup in Persia costs 5. So you can add a Turkish token and you can spend the dice roll modifier to increase your die roll. That's some kind of mitigation and also a sync for your die roll modifiers. Then for successful coup repercussions, so if you are successful in India, so you overthrew the British in India, then you have to choose between either +1 fortitude for the British or place British token if not yet present. And the British tokens should start at 0, so at a withdrawal. Now Afghanistan, you have to choose between Russia or British advance. Or place token if not yet present. And if you overthrow the coup, the British in Persia, then you have to choose between the Arab or Russia or British to advance. British max fortitude is not limited to board spaces. Move tokens in such a case next to the map. Thematically, they could be really not amused. Now the Narrows front, I hope you can read it. The British Fortitude token starts off the board. The first fortification you add, you also put a British Fortitude token on space 4 if not yet present. As normal. And if the U-boats would close the Narrows before the British token was present, then you put a U-boats event card back into the middle of the event deck instead. Thematically they came too early, so no warship, so having nothing to do, they said they'd come back later. Auf Wiedersehen. When forcing the Narrows event occurs before any fortification could have been built. In the random case that you draw it as a first card, for example, or the first or second card, you put the event card back into the middle of the event deck instead. And when the British are forcing the Narrows otherwise, first adjust the Fortitude token 1 space to the right per fortification or mine that you added. So British Fortitude starts at 3 now, at 2 now, at 1 now, at 0 now. So in this case, the British are placed on the withdrawal, even if forcing the Narrows were drawn. But if you were to be successful in a coup or an intelligence for coup event, or so then in that case the British can gain fortitude. So when the British are forcing the Narrows otherwise, you first adjust the Fortitude token 1 space to the right per fortification mine that you added. So if fully built, the British abandon their attempt. If 4 are built, they must succeed all rolls. Yeah, but there are 5. So it should be 5. in other cases, yeah. So you would start the British fortitude track as written, but your defenses should lower the fortitude, and the coups should increase the fortitude. Now the Turkish national will change. You can lose. Where is it? Here's the less is defeat part. And your national will is a token to track it. Yeah, so when stability decreases, but the tracker was at -3, and there are tokens on the less is defeat space, remove one token to compensate per stability loss point. So RGB coup tokens from victories box once put there stay. That means that you have to allocate them. Either you have them count. So in a later part of the game, if you see some successes or chances of winning the game, then you would put them in the victories box, not in the first part of the game. An often overlooked rule is that player can use any DRM token at any time from any place on the board for an extra action, but that DRM token is then removed instead of discarded. So your supply of potential tokens is decreased. For a game variance, I would say H is historic order, so the event card is ordered literally, ignoring morning, evening colors, ignore shuffle instructions. Game variant 4 is historic order but shuffled in sets of 4 cards each, so 1 to 4, 5 to 8, and so on. And historic order means split into morning, midday, evening, and ignore shuffle instructions. Start with the morning, do all morning, and then start with midday, do all midday, and start with evening, do all evening. And traditional is the rules as written. That means that everything is shuffled and everything is random, which is what I never would recommend. Try to survive as long as possible. If you survive, count a VP. More precisely, the score is your loss